Okay, Jace is not here this evening. He is at a wedding. Not his, he just proposed. He's not getting married quite yet. But so if you didn't hear, Jace proposed to his girlfriend, and she said yes. That's pretty awesome. That was just, was that last week? I think it was last weekend, 2 weekends ago. Yeah, so, okay, well, let me pray, and we'll get started. Okay, Father in heaven, we just love you. We exalt you. You are glorious. You are beautiful. I just ask you for insight tonight and revelation on the human body and in this specific topic in this area of sleep tonight, and how important it is, Lord, to our overall health and wellness. Just ask that you give me words to speak and help me to speak truth, and words to encourage and edify and build up, and just strengthen people in the area of their health. We love you for all that you do for us, and we glorify you in the blessings that you bestow upon us. And we say that you're perfect, and you're glorious, and you're wonderful, and we love you, Jesus, in your name. Amen. All right, so tonight we are talking about sleep. Sleep disorders and fatigue. I'd say it's a pretty important topic, wouldn't you say? Anybody here have sleep issues at all? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, they say about 70% of Americans do, and about 40% of them have chronic issues with sleep. So this is a pretty big topic. And next week we're going to talk about pain, which is a pretty big topic. So I wanted to kind of hit a couple of the major issues. And just real quick, I just wanted to thank, again, the last 2 weeks. We had Debbie Perry, the midwife, and then Dr. Adam and Dr. Shane, the chiropractors last week, and they were all awesome, I thought. So hopefully you guys caught that. If not, you can watch those online. Debbie Perry especially blew my mind with her spiritual wisdom, so I was very thankful for that class on midwifery. So getting back to sleep, it was interesting. Jen and I were having some interesting conversations last night talking about just sleep and the way God created the human body, and a body that needs sleep, and it needs sleep for a lot of different reasons, to heal and repair. And we kind of got into talking a little bit about, did Adam and Eve need sleep before the fall? Was it only after sin that we needed sleep? And, there's a lot of interesting talks I think you could have about this. And I don't know if we have all the answers to that. We know God rested on the seventh day, but that's a totally different kind of rest. Obviously, our God doesn't need sleep. So it's just, there's a lot of interesting studies you could do on this subject, and the Bible talks a lot about sleep in various fashions and rest. But tonight, we're just really going to talk about how it relates to our bodies and the fact that there's just no question about it. There's no denying that we need sleep for good health. There's nobody that I think would question that or argue that. So we want to talk about all the different aspects of statistics on sleep deprivation, why people aren't sleeping, why sleep is important, and then really want to give you some practical tools at the end, and what I call kind of the big three. But at the end, I'm actually giving you an A to Z, which is 26 tips to sleep. And I guarantee you I left a few out. There's just a lot of ways you can sleep, but there's a couple of main things you can do where everybody can benefit right away. Because believe me, with people I see during the day, just like the statistics say, I would say 7 out of 10 people, when they're filling out their sheets, mark sleep as an issue. And to me, I'm big on putting out fires even before we get deep into healing and whatever people's issue is. To me, sleep's a fire. If you're not sleeping well, that's a problem. Just like if you're constipated, that's a problem. If you're in pain, that's a problem. Let's put out those fires first. So I think sleep is critical to that. So Roman numeral 1, statistics on sleep deprivation in America. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, 70% of Americans have sleep problems. 40% of them are chronic, meaning pretty much every single night they have issues sleeping. Less than 6 hours. According to WebMD, 20% of Americans get less than 6 hours of sleep every evening. And also, according to them, over 100,000 car wrecks directly related to sleeping while fatigued. And I think there's probably, with rare exception, and I include myself in this, who have got very fatigued while driving. And I'm pretty sure almost everyone has experienced that. And hopefully we're all wise enough now to know to pull over and that it's certainly not worth it. But a lot of accidents and a lot of unfortunate traumas and deaths related to just people being too tired. Missed work, letter D. In a 2005 Sleep in America survey, over 28% of Americans have missed work, made mistakes at work due to sleep-related issues, and that study was done. It was just within the last 3 months that they had missed work or issues due to sleep-related issues or mistakes at work. It cost businesses an average of $18 billion a year in lost productivity. That was another study done in 1997 on sleeplessness, pain in the workplace. The night shift. Approximately 20% of the workforce in America works the night shift, which is a shift somewhere between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. We're going to talk more about that towards the end of the lecture tonight. And then couples. I thought this was kind of funny. More than 77% of couples report that their partner has a sleep-related issue. Of course, the number one complaint is snoring. And then sleep aids. For sleep aids, 11% of Americans actually use alcohol as their sleep aid. 9% use some type of a natural sleep aid, and 7% use some type of a prescription drug. Roman numeral 2, 5 reasons for sleep-related issues. Now, I'm just going to touch on these briefly, and when I go over the main tips to help you sleep, there's some things that we can do that's going to hit all of these. So I'm not going to go over them individually, but I wanted to give you the top reasons why people aren't sleeping. Number 1 is just the inability to fall to sleep in a timely manner. You're just laying there. You're just laying there awake. A lot of people have overactive brains, overactive nervous system. Their mind's going a million miles an hour. You can't shut it off, and you just can't get to sleep. I mean, I know people literally lay there for 3 hours every night before they go to sleep. B, trouble staying asleep. So you're waking up on and off during the night, which kind of goes along with C, that you can't fall asleep or you're waking up during the night specifically because of pain. A lot of people are in chronic pain and they can't sleep because of the pain. Just made me think of something. When I was living, when I was younger, I'd always go to the farm, and I would always shoot pigeons on the farm. And I looked up in the silo one time and I tweaked my neck. And I tweaked my neck so bad that I couldn't hardly even move. And I just remember that whole night not being able to sleep at all, because I would lay there, and if my neck moved just a little bit, I had shooting pain and literally could not sleep the whole night. So my awesome, amazing grandma stayed up with me all night and played Monopoly with me all night. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. D, stress, worry, fear, and anxiety. Another big reason why people can't sleep. And then the last one, of course, frequent urination. All right, Roman numeral 3, moving right along. Why does the human body need sleep? Well, the big one, I think, is the fact that that's when the body heals, repairs, generates new cells, repairs tissues, muscles, organs, glands. It's a healing time for the body. Growth and development, especially children. We know infants and children need much more sleep. And then, interestingly, as we get older, we need more sleep. Why? Because we need more time to heal when we're getting older, because the body's starting to get maybe a little bit weaker and needs more time for repair and healing. When we're younger, we need more sleep because, well, we're in a growth and development stage. And that sleep when we're young actually is what triggers hormones, growth hormones, to help you grow physically and mentally. C, immune system. Enables the immune system to function properly. Memory and learning. The body actually uses sleep to store all the information you learned during the day. And there's a part of the brain that gets activated when you're sleeping that assists with learning. E, the nervous system. We generate new neurons and nerve cells while we're sleeping. Hormones, this is a big one. This is a really, really big one. A lot of people have heard about cortisol in the adrenal glands. Some people have had resting cortisol levels checked in the morning, and then you can monitor it throughout the day. You can actually check cortisol in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Well, cortisol is a really important indicator for our energy and how we feel throughout the day. And cortisol should be highest in the morning, and it is highest in the morning. And the reason is because, well, we regenerate our hormones at night while we're sleeping. It's a rejuvenative time for the body. So in the morning, we get up, and a lot of people, even if they have adrenal issues or adrenal fatigue, they'll feel at their best in the morning. And then as the day wanes on and the cortisol levels start to drop, then the fatigue starts to set in, which is an issue for a lot of people. Rest. We simply need to rest and recover for the next day. We use a lot of energy during the day, and the body needs a healing time. And then H, there's a few reasons here why people need more sleep. I mentioned children need more sleep, but also when we're ill, we want to rest. When we have the flu, we just want to lay in bed. That's okay. If we're fatigued, if we have adrenal exhaustion, people feel bad about taking an afternoon nap. I tell people, take an afternoon nap. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel like you're unproductive. Because a lot of people have such a go, drive mentality that they don't listen to their bodies. So if you need to rest, rest. Your body's telling you it needs to rest. So pay attention to that. When you're fasting, your body needs more rest. It goes into a healing mode when you're fasting. During the winter months, it's good to rest more. Bears know about this. They're good at it, really good at it. So during the winter months, it's important to get more rest. One of the reasons for that is we get a lot of our energy from the main energy source, which is the sun and the earth. We're outside more and we're in the sun more in the summer, and we actually have more energy and more life force because of that. And the winter is a more relaxing time to kind of hole up and to sit by the fire and, and sleep in a little bit more. I think that's a great thing to do in the winter. And pregnancy. You're developing a new human being inside of you. So you're going to need some extra time for sleep and rest and relaxation to allow that growth process to take place. And again, that's okay. If you're pregnant and you need some sleep, some extra sleep, don't let your husband make you feel bad about it. You should be resting as much as possible. All right, let's go to number 4, the negative effects of lack of sleep. Brain function. They did a special in 60 Minutes. A single night of sleeping just 4 to 5 hours can impact your ability to think clearly, because it actually causes changes in your brain activity similar to those with psychiatric disorders. Hunger. Sleep deprivation can put your body into a pre-diabetic state, making you feel hungry even when you've already eaten. Now, again, this goes back to hormones. There's a couple of hormones. There's a hormone that tells you when you're full, and there's a hormone that says, I'm hungry. And if you're sleep deprived, the leptin, which tells you that you're full, actually drops, which the leptin is the hormone that tells you that you're full. So that drops, and ghrelin, which is a hormone that says you're hungry, increases. So when you're tired, your body says you're hungry, but you're not really hungry, you're just tired. They actually did a study, I don't have it here, but they did a study on hundreds of people who would wake up in the middle of the night, hungry, and go to the stumble to the refrigerator and open the refrigerator and don't even remember eating whatever leftovers. When they did that study, every single person, they actually gave water when they got up, and literally 100% of the people went back to bed satisfied. They weren't hungry. They were thirsty and they were tired, but it wasn't a hunger sensation. It wasn't a true hunger sensation. So that's something that happens when we're sleep deprived. I mentioned fasting earlier, and I've experienced this myself when fasting. We live in a community here when IHOP that fasting's very, very important. And, it's good to put yourself in a position of weakness before the Lord. But what I found during fasting, and for me especially, because I push myself really hard sometimes, and I think a lot of us do that, is we need extra rest when we're fasting. And one thing I realized, which will make me more wise next time I do a fast, especially an extended fast, is to get more rest. I specifically noted this recently because what was happening was I would have days where I did not get enough rest. I would stay up till midnight, and I would get up at 6 or 7. I'd get 6-7 hours of sleep. Now, for a lot of people, if you're super healthy state, you might be okay with that. Most people need their 7 to 9 hours. Okay, but if you get 5-6 hours of sleep and your body's trying to heal and rest and repair because you're fasting or for whatever reason, what was happening to me, and I just realized this towards the end of the fast, is that I wasn't hungry because I was fasting, and the Lord definitely gave me grace to do the fast, but I felt like I needed something. So I would drink like 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons of vegetable juices and waters, and I was putting a lot of liquid in my body because I felt so fatigued. I felt like I needed something just to keep going. And the next day, luckily was Saturday, I slept 12 hours. I got up that day, I had a quart of water, and I was good for the day. So since I had enough rest in my body, I didn't need all these liquids and juices or as much. So I think that's critically important, especially here, again, for a fasting community, to understand that if you can get the rest while you're fasting, do it, because it'll just really, really help you through the process. Paragraph C, increased disease risk. It was the same show, the 60-minute show, and there's a lot of studies linking sleep deprivation now to major illnesses. Cancer risk. The main reason that it increases your risk for cancer is because melatonin, which is a hormone, is a major anti-cancer hormone. And we lose melatonin if we don't sleep properly. Multiple studies have linked sleep deprivation to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Aging. If you're not healing and repairing properly, you're going to age faster. So good sleep, quality sleep, is a very powerful tool for anti-aging. The immune system makes it your body less able to fight illness. And just quality of life in general. If you're missing social events, you're missing work, you're missing different events because you're so tired you can't make it, it really affects the quality of life and your relationships and just being able to do the things you love and enjoy. And then finally, I have here depression, because sleep deprivation actually affects negatively your serotonin production, which is really critical for your mood. And a lot of people who don't sleep, we joke about them. Oh, he didn't get his sleep. He's grouchy and grumpy and angry. Well, there might be something to that. Okay, getting quality sleep is really going to affect your mood as well. Very important point. All right, let's go on to Roman numeral 5. What is needed for a good night's sleep? Now, in the next section 6, I'm going to give you 26 things. But in 5 here, I'm going to give you what I think are the big 4, the 4 key ones. So I'm really going to hone in on this and spend a lot of time on this section right here. So letter A, light. Let there be light. Light governs your sleep cycle. Light governs your internal clock, your biological clock, your circadian rhythm. It's your time tracking system. Okay, your body, because of the natural way God created the earth, and when he created night and day, and when he created us to live on the earth, the body's always under the assumption that when it's the daylight hours, you're awake, and when the evening hits and darkness falls, you fall asleep. That's always the natural assumption of the body. That's always the natural circadian rhythm of the body. So it's just critical to understand that light is what controls your body's ability to sleep. So what's one thing that's critical is having regular exposure to light. And when I say exposure to light, I'm talking about sunlight, natural light, because these fluorescent lights here very negatively affect your ability to sleep. Again, lots of studies done on how negative artificial lighting and fluorescent lighting affects our health, because God did not give us fluorescent lighting. God gave us sunshine. So that is the type of light we really need to be getting as much as possible during the day, because that's really going to positively affect our glandular system. Since I learned about the benefits of the sun, now I'm not encouraging anyone, if they really need to wear them, please wear your sunglasses, especially if not wearing them is going to cause a problem when you're driving. But I haven't worn sunglasses in probably 8 years, because I learned how beneficial the sunlight is when it hits our glandular system through our eyes, and the way it actually stimulates the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, which is what produces melatonin, and how critical that is for our hormonal system and for our biological clock. So getting sun into your eyes is very critical for health. Again, it's just part of God's natural created order. Unfortunately, we spend 95% of our days indoors under artificial lighting. I like to give the example of, using this light example, I love to give the example of camping. I love to think about, when I grew up as a young kid, my parents were awesome, and we spent a lot of time outdoors. I mean, my whole family has a natural love and affinity for the outdoors, and I think most people do, because inherently, we were created to live within God's creation on the earth. But we went camping a lot. And anybody here go camping? Come on. All right. At least half of you or more. That's good. What's cool about camping, or at least one thing I really experienced and noticed when I'm camping, is when it got dark, very soon after it got dark, we got really tired. And we wanted to go to bed. And, sometimes we'd stay up and play a game or two or whatever. But if it got dark at 7:30, 8 o'clock, by 9 o'clock, we were out. Like, we were ready for bed. And what time did we wake up? Soon as that sun hit your eyes and you heard those birds chirping. It could be 5:30 in the morning, and you look at the watch, because you're so used to sleeping in at home, or feeling like you need to sleep in, or, oh my gosh, that alarm goes off at 7 and you could throw it across the room. So you wake up by the natural sunlight at 5:30, and you look at the clock and you're like, oh my gosh, it's 5:30 and I'm awake. Like, you think something's wrong. This is the natural cycle of the way the body's supposed to function. We're supposed to go to bed when it's dark and get up when we see light or hear some pretty birds chirping. And that's just an awesome thing that it'd be nice to get back to. B, melatonin. So the pineal gland's very active during the day, inactive during the day. It turns on at night to produce melatonin. So as soon as it gets dark, the pineal gland switches on and says, we need melatonin in our bloodstream so we can go to sleep. This is why so many people take melatonin as a sleep aid, because they're not producing it properly, because either their sleep cycle's off, Their sleep cycle's backwards. They work a night shift. They're not getting sunshine during the day. All different kinds of reasons people aren't producing adequate melatonin, hormone imbalances. But that's the main function of the pineal gland, is to produce melatonin so that you can sleep at night. Melatonin, and I even highlighted this, it's critical for our immune system. Do a Google search on melatonin and cancer. You will be blown away at the research on how important melatonin is as anti-cancer. And again, this just stresses the fact that we gotta have good sleep. We gotta get good sleep. The melatonin will stay elevated between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. And as the sun rises, it turns off again. Now, this is a critical point I want to make right here. Any exposure to light during the evening will shut off your melatonin production. So if you get up and go to the restroom and you flip on the bathroom light, you just shut off your melatonin. They've even showed in studies that the little bit of light coming from your alarm clock, if it's hitting your eye, will turn off your melatonin production and affect your sleep negatively. So one of those keys to a good night's sleep we're going to go over is a pitch black room. One thing I noticed whenever I travel and I stay in a hotel is hotels are very good at having a pitch black room. Why? Because they want you to go to their hotel and say, man, I slept amazing when I stay at blah, blah, blah hotel. So they know that having a pitch black room is going to give you a better quality of sleep. So that's a really great thing you can do, is have a pitch black room, turn your alarm clocks away from you, have no light in that room. And that'll really help with this melatonin issue. Now, of course, what else affects our melatonin negatively? Evening comes up, we're supposed to be in bed, and what are we living in today? A world of artificial lighting, a world of television. Not only television, if television isn't bad enough, but television in our rooms, in our bedrooms. Watching TV at night, one of the worst possible things you can do for long-term health, because it negatively affects your sleep. It completely stops melatonin production. It overstimulates your brain and your nervous system, and it totally cuts short your quality of life over the long term. So we're talking video games, TV at night, teenagers on cell phones and electronic devices late at night texting their friends. When they're in a stage of growth and development and they're supposed to be resting and sleeping, we're on the phone. I want to mention that melatonin can be beneficial for people in the short term. If you take it as a supplement, remember it's synthetic. I don't know a lot of natural sources of melatonin. There might be some out there. It can be very beneficial for people in the short term. And I know there's probably a lot of people who have benefited from taking melatonin. But understand that if you take it, you're encouraging your body not to need to produce it. And what I see in a lot of people is that they have to increase their melatonin. They'll start with 1 milligram and then go to 2 and then to 5 and then to 10. And they have to keep increasing it because they're not doing the things that they need. It doesn't address the underlying issue why they might not be sleeping in the first place. So I want to stress that point, that melatonin can be beneficial in the short term, but don't look to it as a long-term solution. Find out why you're not sleeping and address that. Much, much better strategy. Tryptophan, if you've heard of L-tryptophan or 5-HTP, a lot of people will take that to help them sleep. The reason that helps them sleep is that's an amino acid, and that is actually a precursor to melatonin production. So it's actually a much safer approach, in my opinion, is to get tryptophan from natural sources. Now, they jokingly say that that's the turkey dinner, and we eat lots of turkey, and it's got tryptophan, and it makes us sleepy. Well, I think a lot of things I've read have debunked that theory and really say, no, it's really the fact that we ate 10 times more food than normally is meant for the human body, and all the blood rushes to our stomach, and our body's going to be wiped out. But you can call it tryptophan if that works for you. But let me do tell you what one thing a lot of people take for sleep is, anybody here done chamomile? Yeah, chamomile flowers. Chamomile is actually the largest natural source of tryptophan, which is a precursor to melatonin, which is going to help you sleep. That's why a lot of people drink chamomile tea before sleep. Before bed. About an hour before bed really helps people sleep. Paragraph C, connection to the earth. This is huge. This is huge, guys. I'm going to spend a lot of time here because I think this is probably the most important thing I'm going to talk about tonight. Earthing is a term that they call it. But earthing is just connecting to the earth that God created us on. And they're calling it the greatest health discovery ever. Now, it's pretty sad that we were born naked in a garden connected to the earth, and now they're saying connecting to the earth is the greatest health discovery ever. And that doesn't seem just like a little ironic twist to everyone? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But it's a new concept in health, connecting to the earth. And I put in here that we weren't created by God. God did not say, okay, I created man, and I give him rubber to make rubber-soled shoes and synthetic to make linoleum floors, and that's how we're going to start out. No. We were naked in a garden. We were formed from what? Dust of the earth. That's how we were created. That's the creation story I read in Genesis. And we're meant to be connected to the earth. And they have found that our disconnect from the earth not only negatively affects our sleep cycles, but it's directly related to pain, stress, anxiety, autoimmune diseases, thyroid dysfunction, adrenal dysfunction. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Why do people have such an affinity to be in nature? You know, some people's best part of their day is when they're in the shower. You know why? When they're in the shower underwater, it's the only time during the day they might actually be connected to the earth. Because when the shower water's hitting you, you're actually grounded. You're actually connected to the earth. There's a lot of science now behind this too as well. And I really want to stress home this point because I think a lot of times, you know, especially my audience here, for the most part, is the body of Christ and Christians. As soon as we start talking about the earth or connecting to the earth, we just think New Age. You know, and we think that's there's something wrong with connecting to the earth or nature. And, you know, that's because it gets twisted out there. A lot of people are talking about Mother Earth and Mother Nature, you know, which isn't a real thing, you know, as far as what we understand with the biblical truth we know, that the earth was created by God. But he created us to be in connection with the earth. That's how he created us. And I want to stress that this isn't something weird. This isn't something abnormal. What they've created to help us connect to the earth. And I encourage people just to do it directly, of course. We see people getting off of thyroid medication. We see people getting off of all different kinds of synthetic pharmaceutical drugs just by getting back to nature. There are doctors from the 1700s and 1800s. There's one guy, Henry Lindlar, I think was his name. I'm pretty sure it was Lindlar, who mainly worked with tuberculosis patients. And all he did is get them out in nature and get them exposed to sunshine every day, and he had a 98% cure rate. A lot of times when people want to heal, where do they want to go? They want to go to healing centers out in nature. We want to connect with the earth. The other example I really like to give, if anybody's experienced this, I have many times, where I've gone to the beach somewhere, or I was in the woods somewhere, and I specifically think of the beach. I mean, there's something really healing and powerful about the ocean. And, again, just something else beautiful that God gave us that he created. But you fall asleep on a beach somewhere, if anybody's done this. I mean, I don't know about you, but I woke up dizzy, disoriented, drool coming out of my mouth, not knowing where I was, because my body went in such a deep, deep sleep, such a deep healing state that I never get laying in a bed elevated at home. And I just never will get that until somehow I can reconnect back to the earth. Who's experienced that? Quite a few of you. It's very powerful, us being connected to the earth. I think of my favorite times as a child. It was when I went to the farm, and I was playing on the farm all day, being in nature. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, you have not learned the key to longevity until you plant a garden. Getting your hands dirty and getting in the garden, not being scared of mud and dirt like it's something bad. Children craving dirt and eating dirt, and their parents freaking out. They're made of dust of the earth, and they're mineral deficient. They're wanting minerals. There's a reason for it. All these things that are so like taboo in our society today. We just strayed so far away from the natural earth that God gave us. I love walking around barefoot. We just planted seed in our lawn, and I'll go out during the day or at night and water the lawn, and I walk barefoot in the wet grass. What an awesome feeling. We were meant to be connected to the earth. I just want to stress it over and over and over and over. The technology they have now is pretty interesting, so I just want to mention that. And one of the reasons the earth is so healing is there's something in our environment called negative ions. If anybody's heard about positive ions and negative ions. So positive ions are inflammatory, disease-causing agents. So your inflammation, your pain, your viruses, your bacteria, your heavy metal toxicity, these kind of things have a positive ionic charge. Okay, negative ions are very healing. Okay, an example of negative ions would be the waves crashing on a beach, the waves crashing from a waterfall. If anybody's experienced like a big major storm went by, and then at the end of that storm as it passes through, it's almost like you just have this beautiful clarity, like this, the smell in the air is so like crisp and clear and healing right after a storm passes through. Those are negative ions. Salt from the earth, they have rock salt lamps that release negative ions into the air. So all these natural things have these powerful negative ions that are very healing, that they found scientifically heal the body. So in other words, you get negative ions into the body, pain and inflammation goes away. Autoimmune conditions calm down. People sleep better. Stress and anxiety goes away. What's our biggest source of negative ions on the entire planet? The planet, the earth God created. So when you're connected to the earth, you're connected to that infinite power source. Very powerful. It'll totally offset radiation from cell phones and laptops. You want to talk on your cell phone and not be in danger? Stand barefoot on the ground while you're on your cell phone. The cell phone won't actually impact you negatively. What they have now are sheets and pads that are called earthing sheets and pads. It's very standard for the people I work with as a practitioner. I try to get everybody on this. If you have an autoimmune illness, if you have any pain or inflammation in your body, if you have any trouble sleeping, if you're trying to heal your glandular system, your thyroid especially, or your adrenals especially, you have to get reconnected to the earth. And what's cool is they have these mats now that you literally connect. Again, understand there's no electricity involved. If you have a properly ground home, your 3-prong hole at home, that third hole is your ground wire, right? Why is there a ground wire there? There's literally a peg stuck in the ground with the wire connected to that outlet. It's just connected to the ground, not the electricity. So when lightning strikes, the lightning goes into the ground, not your TV. That's why that's there. So what they have is they have these mats that you can literally plug into that third prong hole. Again, you're just connecting it to the earth. And there's metal fibers woven into these mats. And if your skin's touching it, you're connected to the earth. It's phenomenal. I mean, I've had people sitting in my office. I had a lady one time, I have to tell this story. She was 71 years old. And I did a class, and it was on earthing. I think my parents were probably there. And she had this pain right behind her knee, and this ligament right behind her knee. She'd had it for years. And I was talking about how these things help with pain. And she said, "Let me try it." And I said, during the class, I had her just take her shoes off and put her bare feet on the mat. And again, remember, we're indoors, we're inside, but we're connected to the earth through the ground plug. And at the end of the class, I said, how's your leg feel? And she was like this look of total shock on her face. She's like, it might be all in my head, but that pain's gone. And she actually stood up, and she actually did a little dance around the room. She was so excited. So she went ahead and got one of the mats, and then I saw her like a couple of months later. That pain never came back. So those negative ions, that healing energy from the earth, will offset pain, and it'll help people sleep. So connection to the earth, critical, critical, critical factor. Paragraph D, minerals and vitamins. Mineral deficiencies, huge. This is another biggie. This is the second main thing I give to people. I always make sure people have minerals and people have an earthing sheet. And I would say 4 out of 5 times people are sleeping much better, or they're sleeping exactly how they want to sleep within a month. It doesn't take long. It can happen very quickly. Now, there can be other issues. People can be in chronic pain, the frequent urination. There's other reasons people don't sleep. But for most people, just getting the right minerals in your system and getting connected to the earth, people start sleeping fantastic. What's the number one mineral deficiency in America? It's magnesium. You've heard me talk about it in multiple classes before. Why are minerals so important? They calm and relax the body. They calm and relax the nervous system. They calm and they shut down that crazy overactive brain that we can't turn off because we have a million things to do and we have a to-do list this long tomorrow. Well, that to-do list isn't going anywhere, so we need to find a way to shut down so we can get some good sleep so we can accomplish more the next day. So magnesium is the number one critical mineral, and the other one is calcium, is another calming mineral that a lot of people need. A couple other ones I mentioned, the other electrolyte minerals, they're all important. Copper and iron are important to sleep patterns as well, and B vitamins. I mentioned 3 of them specifically. B3, which is niacin. This can help with the effects of tryptophan in the body. B5, it's a critical mineral that vitamin that the adrenal glands need. Adrenal glands need pantothenic acid, which I like bee sources for, bee pollen, royal jelly. You can get it from nutritional yeast, brewer's yeast, those types of things, but that helps with stress and anxiety. It's a very good anti-stress, anti-anxiety B vitamin. And then vitamin B12 can help promote normal sleep cycles. So those are just a few vitamin minerals you need, but the keys, definitely the magnesium, and then work your way down from there. So Roman numeral 6, A to Z sleep tips. 26 of them. I'm not going to go into every single one in detail, but I'm definitely going to hit A because that's really, really important to this audience. And it's consider your work schedule. As many as 20% of the workforce works the graveyard shift. So as we've discussed, this negatively affects melatonin production, can lead to health problems. People who travel a lot, jet lag, can have these same negative effects. You literally hear people say this, jet lag is killing me. People that fly a lot. People who are on business a lot. You want to know how to overcome jet lag? Who wants to know how to overcome jet lag? Only one person? Come on. Don't you guys travel? Okay, there's a couple of you. Here's how you overcome jet lag. As soon as you land at your destination, take off your shoes, go to the nearest piece of grass or park, and get your feet in the grass for a couple of hours. You reset your clock. Biological clock, circadian rhythm, in function with the earth. The earth, touching the earth, connecting with the earth, is what resets your clock and tells your body, oh, I just transported. What the heck's going on? Oh, here I am. This is where I'm at right now. Okay, let's reset. Makes a lot of sense. It works. A study of 683 men from the Journal of Sleep showed lower serotonin levels, which can lead to anger, depression, and anxiety in people who work the night shift. Night workers sleep an average of 1 to 4 hours less than the average person. But I really need to stress that there's a lot of people who have dedicated their lives to serving in the night hours. And I am in absolute awe of those people. I commend those people. I commend those people doing 24/7 prayer and worship in the middle of the night. I commend those people on the night watch more than you can possibly know, because dedicating your life to Jesus Christ and doing it at night takes sacrifice, and it's very commendable. People who dedicate their lives to be a nurse in the middle of the night when you have a heart attack or a car accident, doctors who dedicate their lives to saving lives in the middle of the night, firemen who are saving lives in the middle of the night, policemen who are saving lives in the middle of the night. We could go on and on and on. It's critical that we have people that work the night shift, and we love those people dearly. What I want to stress is that I want you to take care of your bodies. If that's the dedication that you have, is that the calling on your life, then take care of your body by being grounded. Sleep on an earthing sheet, so even though we're kind of fooling the body a little bit, the body can at least feel connected to the earth and feel connected to that natural cycle in which it's supposed to be running. Adequate nutrition, critical. I mean, it's the old joke about policemen eating donuts and drinking coffee, right? There's a reason for that. A sugar fix, a caffeine fix. How many people are on the night watch and probably getting a sugar fix, a caffeine fix? I want to encourage you not to get a sugar fix and a caffeine fix. I want to encourage you to get a mineral fix, a magnesium fix, an earthing connected to the earth fix. Okay, let's work with our bodies, not against them. We know those things are dangerous long term. I cannot tell you how many people I see at my office who are burnt out from not sleeping, from adrenal exhaustion, from living on a pot of coffee a day for years, and they're out. They're just wiped out. They're done. How do I heal my body? How do I get well? So just encourage the people you know and that you love who are working in the evenings or dedicating their lives to Christ in the evening, or working these night shift hours because of their occupation. And there's three main things I recommend here to people who work the night shift. Adequate nutrition, critical. Specifically making sure the minerals are in their body. The earthing, and then sleeping in total darkness during the day. That's not easy to do. But try to make your room pitch black the best you can while you're sleeping during the day. Because that's at least going to tell your body, oh, it's nighttime. Okay, I can sleep. And that's how you're going to get some better sleep, doing those things. B, supplementing magnesium. We talked about that. I do want to stress that I think the best way to do it is the magnesium chloride It's the natural source from the earth. Epsom salts are not as beneficial, and they're not as good a quality. They don't reestablish magnesium levels in the body near as well, and it's not as good of a source. You can take magnesium powders or capsules as well. A lot of people do that before bed. It can be very beneficial for people. Earthing. I'm going to give you here the science behind earthing. I'm not going to go over that now. We don't have time. But I want you guys to read that. It really talks about the studies and the science that's been done. I gave you the two websites, earthing.com, earthinginstitute.net. Earthinginstitute.net has double-blind placebo studies they're doing at universities all over the world, showing how it normalizes cortisol levels during sleep. People sleep better. People wake up more rested. People get out of pain and don't have pain. People are getting off thyroid medication. Again, we were created naked in a garden. This is just common sense to God's natural order. Luckily, in our world, we found somebody happened to have invented a way for us to bring it inside our house so we can at least get grounded for 8 hours a night. Or you can get the little pads, which I have at my computer, and it rests right under my keyboard. My wrists are on it, so I'm during the day. Offsets all the magnetic chaos from your cell phones and your laptops. And the other thing is, and they've studied this too, if you sit at a computer job all day and you're staring at a computer all day, it saps your energy. It drains your life force. I did it for 7 years when I worked corporate. If you have one of these earthing pads and you're connected to the earth while you're working on your computer all day, you won't be tired at the end of the day. You won't be drained at the end of the day. Your eyes won't be as fatigued at the end of the day. Okay? Very, very beneficial for people who work behind desks all day staring at computers. The other thing I wanted to mention is that this earthing technology is really catching on. The Tour de France riders, if you know what the Tour de France bicycle race is, talk about a grueling event. Okay, they bring these with them now to their events, and this is what they sleep with in their hotels at night because they found that they recover faster. And believe me, recovery time is critical when you're running the Tour de France. So they have learned that this helps reduce their inflammation, reduce their pain, and it increases and speeds their recovery time so that they can perform better. So I'm just going to kind of briefly go over some of these and maybe hit some that maybe hit my heart that I think are really important. But avoiding cell phones, very dangerous, especially at night. Relaxation CDs can be very beneficial. What do people listen to a lot of times? The sounds of nature. If you can't be in it, at least let's listen to it, huh? It'll put us to bed, some waves crashing. Avoid late night snacking. This negatively affects our blood sugars. Sleep in complete and total darkness. We talked about that. Even the slightest little light from an alarm clock can negatively affect us. Avoid TV before bed, and please get the TV out of the bedroom. It just really negatively affects your entire nervous system. Wearing socks to bed. People have poor circulation. Wearing socks to bed can actually help people from waking up in the middle of the night. Read your Bible. Try not to overstimulate your brain with some kind of a crazy action drama suspense novel. But read the Bible. Read Psalms. Read something that's encouraging and calming. Avoid loud alarm clocks in the morning that jolt your body awake. Okay, there's all kinds of cool alarm clocks you can get now. Some that start, nature sounds, and they'll start out super quiet to where you can't hardly even hear it. And over the course of literally 10 minutes, it just gets really increasingly louder, but just stays real quiet and peaceful. You can even get alarm clocks now that simulate sunshine, and that a little bit of light shines from the alarm clock, and then it just slowly increases the light over the course of a few minutes. So there's really cool alarm clocks you can get now as well. Journaling before bed. The melatonin and tryptophan, as I mentioned, but again, it's a good short term for some people, but not a long-term solution. You want to try the other things, in my opinion, first. I rarely give people melatonin, rarely, because I don't need to. I don't need to, because usually the earthing and the minerals and some herbs seem to work a lot better. Getting to bed on time. Oh my gosh, this is huge. I haven't even really talked about this yet. Your adrenal glands recharge from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. You produce growth hormone, which is anti-aging, which keeps you alive long periods of time, long and healthy into old age. But you only release that growth hormone if you're asleep from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Your gallbladder dumps toxins and poisons between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. So liver health, gallbladder health, glandular health, hormone health. You have to be in bed by 9:30 and asleep by 10, or you miss all of these benefits. Before the age of electricity, it got dark, we went to bed. So this is crucial, trying to get to bed on time. It's a struggle for some people. It's a struggle for me a lot of times. But I encourage you to try to do this, because it's really going to benefit you in the long run. The temperature of the room being around 70 degrees is optimal for sleep. Eating protein in the evening meals and not heavy amounts of sugar and starch that can affect your blood sugars. Avoiding pharmaceutical drugs. Ironically, I just got an article today. I'm just going to read it because I have it right here. This is from the Alliance of Natural Health, and I just happened to get this today, so I wanted to read it. A new study shows prescription sleeping pills bring an increased risk of dying early or getting cancer. So why is the FDA rubber stamping such dangerous drugs? We've already talked about this. Sleep deprivation is a serious issue. As many as 70 million Americans suffer from insomnia. 60 million prescriptions for sleeping pills. But they're technically, you got to understand this, prescription pills are technically hypnotic drugs. That's the actual term they're given. They're hypnotic drugs. That was filled in 2011 compared to 47 million in 2006. Stress, over full lifestyle, poor diet, especially the use of artificial light in the evening after going to bed, prevents sleep. This lack of sleep makes you get more likely to get sick, raises your risk of type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, makes you prone to depression. The risk of sleeping pills are well documented. Daytime drowsiness, headaches, nausea, dizziness, and addiction. But a new study published in the British Medical Journal says that people taking a prescription pill, even when taking fewer than 18 pills per year, have 4 times the mortality rate of those who don't take these drugs. Patients who take higher doses of sleeping pills have a 35% increased cancer risk. The study was prompted by earlier studies showing that hypnotic drugs are often deadly mixed with alcohol or other drugs, also linked to an increased risk of car accidents and falls, increased risk of suicide, and damaged chromosomes in the cells leading to cancer. What was significant about this study is they tracked 10,529 people who had at least one prescription for a sleeping pill between 2002 and 2007. While the study does not demonstrate causation, it did adjust for confounding factors such as age, smoking, weight, and health condition. So why is FDA approving dangerous sleeping pills? For one thing, the clinical trials required for FDA approval may be inadequate when it comes to hypnotic drugs. People are taking non-benzodiazepine sedative hypnotics for years. Even though most are approved for short-term use, their safety and effectiveness are not evaluated beyond several weeks. One exception is Lunesta, which was tested for 6 months. Its list of known side effects is terrifying. And they actually give a link here to where you can look at the side effects of Lunesta. Easily one of the most dangerous drugs on the market, and it's a sleep pill. So there's more to that article, but I just wanted to share that. So pharmaceutical drugs for sleep are very dangerous. Avoiding caffeine. Some people are so caffeine sensitive that literally having a cup of coffee at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they can't sleep at night. And that shows a nervous system that's overstimulated and overactive and exhausted adrenal glands. I like herbs. You don't have to do them long term. Again, hopefully just getting the right minerals and connected to the earth and some of these basic things will do the trick for you. But I have given people chamomile. I use a formula that actually has hops, valerian, and wild lettuce. Hops, what does hops use to make? Beer. What does it do? Makes you sleepy. Okay, so you can actually use hops in its raw, God-created form, and these are called nervine herbs. They actually calm and relax the nervous system. They're actually good for stress and anxiety, calming overactive children, but also good for helping us sleep. Aromatherapy. I like lavender especially. It's very good. You can put a little bit on your pillow or get one of those diffusers that kind of blow it into the room, and those are fantastic. Avoiding alcohol. So remember, 11% of people use alcohol to help them sleep. But remember, alcohol is straight sugar. So what happens with a lot of people is it helps them go to sleep, but then they wake up because their blood sugars crash while they're sleeping, and then they can't get back to sleep, or they're in and out of sleep. Weight loss, because being overweight can cause sleep apnea. It kind of closes off the breathing passages. Food sensitivities. Dairy and gluten are the big ones. You know, a lot of people get a really bad congestion from doing dairy products. So doing dairy at night can affect sleep. Minimize fluids. Obviously, drinking too much liquid right before bed can cause frequent urination at night. Exercising is beneficial. Hot showers, saunas, and baths. Removing the alarm clock from view. So that's the 26. I'm going to just take 5-10 more minutes because I really focused on sleep. The class is sleep and fatigue. I just want to hit a couple of other key points to why people are fatigued besides just lack of sleep. One is what I call the carbohydrate coma. Who's here has experienced a carbohydrate coma? Come on, be honest. Come on. Who has not experienced a carbohydrate coma? That's when for lunch you have tortillas or bread or pizza or pasta, and you go, man, why am I so tired and I can hardly make it through the afternoon? I'm just barely going to make it to 5 o'clock. That's a carbohydrate coma. Okay, that's blood sugar intolerances. That's the yo-yo blood sugar roller coaster, which is the main thing I work with on people, is getting them off of heavy sugars and starches, especially processed sugars and starches, and getting on to things that keep the body stable and healthy fats and proteins and greens and whole foods. Mornings, big one. I mean, children. How many children are going to school and told they have behavioral disorders and they're out of control and they're ADD and ADHD and they need Ritalin? No. 9 times out of 10, it's poor diet. At least 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10. We're starting off kids with sugared cereals and waffles and pancakes and toast and bagels and breakfast food, and their blood sugars are out of whack before they even get to school. And so they're like this. And then at school, they're given candy, and then, it's a nonstop roller coaster. It's a dietary problem more than anything. Yeah, there's other factors, artificial chemicals and food dyes and things in our food supply. But it's mainly the excessive amounts of sugars and starches and carbs that we're all eating, especially children. So I really encourage people to start off their morning with a good shake or smoothie or some eggs or even fish. You don't have to eat typical what you think is a breakfast food. I mean, where we got the idea that bagels was like a great idea for breakfast, I have no idea. But eat what's healthy for breakfast. You don't have to eat breakfast food. Eat a good lunch. Eat a salad with some chicken or some fish or, something that doesn't put you in this carbohydrate coma. Okay, it's a main reason people are fatigued. And it's amazing how many people I see that are fatigued, and we make some adjustments dietary, and all of a sudden they start to feel great again. They don't get tired in the afternoon anymore. It's amazing. We don't realize how much what we eat affects us. Chronic fatigue. So a lot of people are diagnosed with chronic fatigue. It just means you're tired all the time. It's not a real disease. You can't treat it with drugs. There's a lot of different reasons people are fatigued, and I just want to give you a couple. But if you have chronic fatigue, there's a reason. And usually it's because of some toxicity condition. So I just want to mention that. People have chronic heavy metal poisoning. You might have mercury poisoning and don't know it. You might have infections, okay, where you have parasite infections or severe fungal candida infections, and it just wiping out your body. Your body's just overworked, it's overtaxed, it's overly toxic. Your immune system's wiped out, it's fighting all the time. There's a reason we have a chronic fatigue. So it's usually figuring out what it is. Is it some kind of a toxicity issue in the body, some type of infectious issue in the body? So there's not really a good answer for chronic fatigue, but it's going to start with diet. It's going to start with looking at, different factors to see if there's some kind of a toxicity issue and addressing it. Hormonal imbalances, adrenal fatigue. Obviously, underactive thyroids can cause fatigue. So these glands are very important to our energy. What's producing the adrenals? Adrenaline. I always jokingly tell people, if you need to pull a car off of somebody because they're in a car accident and they're trapped, you don't need caffeine from a Red Bull. You need adrenaline from your adrenal glands. That's what's going to take care of that problem. That's where people get superhuman strength, is from hormones. So hormonal imbalances, major cause of fatigue. When you wipe out the adrenal glands from excessive sugar and caffeine and stress and anxiety all the time. When your thyroid's wiped out from poor diet, mercury poisoning from all those fillings in your mouth trickling down into your thyroid. Major cause of fatigue in a lot of people. And the last one, poor digestion. People are eating all the time and they're overeating, and it weakens their digestion. Studies have shown that we spend 80% of our body's resources digesting food. So that leaves 20% for all the other life functions of the body. So if your body's always trying to digest food, you're going to be fatigued a lot. People are eating all day long. They're grazing, they're snacking, they're overeating. And that really affects our body to do the other functions. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced here when they start fasting, all of a sudden they have more energy than they've ever had in their whole lives. Sometimes day 4, 5, 6 into the fast. How can you not eat food and have the most energy you've ever had in your entire life? How's that possible? Because sometimes we just need to take the burden off of the body. So a big tip for digestion, I just want to mention it, when it comes to energy, is the healthy bacteria, healthy gut flora, intestinal bacteria. Probiotics are big these days. If we're 100 trillion cells, which people say 75, people say 100, nobody knows how amazing and how many exact cells God created in our bodies, but there's a lot. And the vast majority of them are actually living bacteria, living organisms. And so a lot of our energy and a lot of our life force comes from this interintestinal flora, these healthy bacteria that are in our body. So getting back to eating fermented foods, taking good probiotics, I've seen totally change people's energy levels for the positive, because getting these guys back in your system are very important for your immune system, your digestion, and your just overall health and energy. So that's all I have. Praise the Lord. Thank you, guys. And we'll take any questions. Should be at the bottom there. Check, check, check. Is it on? Check. Check. Okay. I'll repeat the question.
I had tried to find room darkening curtains that would fit my size of window, and I couldn't do it.
Uh-huh.
I ended up getting the little sleep mask.
Thank
It's
you.
a lot less expensive.
Thank you. So yeah, great comment, and I'm glad she brought that up. Is you can get those little sleep masks, those little eye patches, and just wear those at night, and that'll shut out all the light. Those are excellent. Thank you for that. Very good. Yes. Eat protein. She's right. She said she loves to have some kind of a snack at night. That's okay. I mean, if you do, if it affects your sleep, that's not good. If you have a little late night snack and you sleep through the night, not a big deal. But if you're having trouble sleeping, you might want to look at that. But what she mentioned is popcorn. So if you put some healthy fats, like some coconut oil, or some kind of a good healthy fat on that popcorn, or some butter, some good raw butter, that'll actually help. The healthy fats are more stable. I always recommend people do that in the morning. If they're going to have starch in the morning, like say you have some oatmeal, put some coconut oil, some butter, some good fats in there, because that'll help stabilize that starch. Does that make sense? So that's something you can do. The other thing you could do is just a little bit of protein, just a few nuts before bed would be good too. Or something that has some tryptophan in it, protein-wise, would be good too. Yeah. I do that a lot. That's another great idea is milks, almond milk. You're going to get protein and fat. Raw goat's milk. How many people have heard about the, cup of warm milk before bed? Helps you sleep, right? Healthy fats, healthy protein in that raw milk. Great idea. Thank you. Love it. Cow's milk. Yeah, any kind of raw milk. Raw cow's milk, raw goat's milk. Yeah. Great idea as a before bed little snack. Yes, Annette. How much are the mats? Yeah, the little one that kind of you put under your computer, or you can set your feet on it, like at the computer at wherever. They're like $60. The bed sheets are like $170. It's one size fits all, but it's a one-time purchase. It should last a lifetime. It's machine washable. It's a good investment. Yeah, and you can actually buy combo kits, and you can save a lot of money if you can buy them together. So I have them. Yeah, I mean I have them at my place. Sure. Mineral deficiencies. The question was, what causes leg cramps at night? Mineral deficiencies. 4 out of 5 times. Magnesium, calcium would be the first two to try. Okay, and if that doesn't work, let's look beyond that. But when I have people do the magnesium oil foot baths, most of the time the cramping is a thing of the past. Foot baths, where you soak your feet in magnesium oil before bed, totally knocks out cramping. I don't know. Who here has done the magnesium oil foot baths and think they're gloriously wonderful? Yeah, I got at least 5 or 6 people in here. Of course. Yes.
Do you know what causes or what would cure restless leg syndrome?
Do I know what would cause or cure restless leg syndrome? I don't know exactly. Again, mineral deficiencies is the first thing I address. A lot of times that worked, but it definitely does not always work with restless leg. A lot of times that's an issue with the nervous system. So you want to make sure you're getting, I give people, one thing I do with people is I try to give them a foundation for health when I first start to see them, the right minerals, the right healthy fats, the right green foods. And a lot of times these nerve-related issues and muscle-related issues will just take care of themselves because they're deficiency issues more times than not. But sometimes it doesn't always work. Restless leg isn't as easy as cramping. Sometimes there's more to it. But oftentimes it's just some type of a deficiency, and getting the minerals and the healthy fats and the things that help the nervous system and the muscles will take care of it oftentimes. There's good homeopathic treatments for that as well that seem to work. Anybody else who hasn't asked a question yet? Do you ask a question yet? Oh, go ahead.
You mentioned the B vitamins helping with sleep. I know some B vitamins give you energy. I wondered if you should take them in the evening, or the B vitamins, do they give you energy, or should you take them early?
Good question. Yeah, so great point. She said the B vitamins, well, they can give you energy, right? So should you take them before bed? Probably not. The key is having the B vitamins in your system to do these, to help with sleep overall. Yeah, if you take a B vitamin supplement at night before bed, it's probably going to negatively affect your sleep. So yeah, best just to get them in food. Again, I like bee pollen, royal jelly, rice, brown rice, protein, torula yeast, nutritional yeast, brewer's yeast. There's all kinds of good sources of B vitamins. Yes. How long do you stand in the grass to reset your circadian rhythm? At least 1 hour. Now, I'm that's just what I read. I think there's going to be a benefit from it if you can get out the airport and go stand on there for 10 minutes. I think you're going to benefit from that. But to fully give your body time to reset, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. I mean, what's wrong with getting off a plane and relaxing for an hour before your business meeting anyway? Come on. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I would say the longer the better. And if you travel overseas, and you've really kind of thrown your body off, you might want to do it longer.
Okay, so will that help you wake up or help you go to sleep?
Both. It'll reset your clock so that if you go somewhere and you've totally changed time zones and you've just gone 7 hours ahead or behind, obviously the cycles of light and day are different. So you're going to reset your body to be back in tune with night and day at that location that you just landed. Does that make sense?
So I work nights, so should I go out in the yard in the morning when I get home from work? It's too cold right now. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. The more you can connect with the earth, the better.
When I get up in the afternoon?
Anytime, yes. Back there.
What do you think about these lights that are for seasonal affective disorder? Some people say that you can get melatonin by using them and using the blue light spectrum or something like that.
Right. So he's asking about lighting and different light spectrums, and there are healing lights that you can buy to give you the good light that your body needs. And there is a lot of research behind light therapies. I don't know all the ins and outs of the best machines and things to use, but I know you can stimulate melatonin production, and you can get good light sources from inventions that we've actually created. I'll tell you a good source for it where I see a lot of good information on this is Dr. Mercola's website. He's big into vitamin D and sunshine and the right types of lighting, and he's got all kinds of good articles about home spectrum lighting and things that you can buy and get some beneficial lighting. So I would encourage you to check out Dr. Mercola's website and search around on there for that. Yes. She asked my take on brown rice and quinoa. I definitely think the way to go is whole foods. Okay, it's just like easiest example I give people is like, you can look at white bread. You can look at fruit versus fruit juices. If you eat an apple versus drinking apple juice, It's a slow, controlled release of sugar into the bloodstream because you have the fiber bound with the apple, as opposed to the fruit juice, which spikes your blood sugar. So same thing. You eat white bread or even whole wheat bread because we think it's healthier. Same thing. It goes straight into the bloodstream. It's sugar, spikes blood sugars. So the best thing to do is to eat whole foods. So you mentioned them: wild rice, brown rice, quinoa. I like the ancient seed grains: millet, amaranth, buckwheat. You can do wheat, but get wheat berries, get the whole grain sprouted grains. But the more processed it is, the faster it's going to spike blood sugars and put you on that roller coaster. So you really want to minimize that as much as possible and eat whole foods. And when you eat starch, I give people a 80-20 rules. If you're going to eat quinoa, great. Eat 80% vegetables and 20% quinoa. And just have smaller amounts. We'll just eat such a huge serving of starch that it's obviously way more than our body can handle if you go into a carbohydrate coma. I mean, that's just your obvious signal right there that it's too much starch. So just have a little bit less. Smaller portions, and always make it a whole food, so it's, like you said, a controlled release into the bloodstream. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
I had a sleep specialist tell me once that a hot shower or hot bath immediately before bed is counterproductive because it raises your core temperature. In order for us to sleep, our core temperature has to get lower. So they said, take it an hour before bed, but not right before.
Okay, let me just repeat that for everyone. She said and I've seen both. I've taken hot showers right before bed and slept like a baby, but she talked to a specialist who said to take the hot shower like an hour before bed so that your body temperature can come down, which is probably good advice because, like I said, one of the studies I read and one of the tips in there is to have in the house around 70 degrees. And we definitely oftentimes have the house too hot. So she said take a hot shower bath an hour before bed. Let the cool body temperature go back down for better sleep. So that's probably a good suggestion.
And the other thing is you can download a free app called White Noise, and then you can set your cell phone away from you, and you can go to sleep with the ocean or the raindrops.
Cool. So she said a free app to hear raindrops or oceans called White Noise. But let me make it a point: never, ever, 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 ever have your cell phone on anywhere near you while you're sleeping. Ever. It's opposite side of the room, as far away as humanly possible. It has such a negative effect on our bodies and our nervous system. It's pinging from a satellite every minute. It's pinging, pinging, pinging. That's why your emails are like immediate when you get them. Okay? Keep it out of your pocket. I never carry my cell phone in my pocket. Never have it anywhere near me at work. Never have it near me when I'm driving. Never have it near me when I'm sleeping. They say cell phones might be the next cigarette, where all the negative information in studies is covered up until so many people have brain tumors and cancer from it that they can't deny it anymore. Might be another 10 years down the road. But these things we can't live without them, but they'll kill us. Okay, that was a joke, but we say we can't live without them. It is hard. I mean, it's how we communicate today. But we can protect ourselves. Don't put them in the stroller where your baby is, next to that brand new developing baby brain. Please don't put the cell phone anywhere near your infant child. Don't give your 6, 7-year-old children cell phones. They're growing, they're developing. Yes? Okay. Somebody needs to research that for me. I have no idea. No, but I will mention what she said. She said she heard that you can put it on airplane mode and it'll stop the pinging from the satellite, so it's not. Okay. So I'd have to look into that. Yeah, maybe that's one of the benefits of airplane mode. I haven't heard that, but that's something to look into. Okay. So there you go. She said airplane mode turns the transmitter off. Yes. Yes.
What do you think about there? I know there's some chips you can put on there, or what do you think of other ways that if you're inside and just can't do that?
Yeah, I have one of those on my phone. I think they work. The studies show they work. The pictures show that they work. I have something called, mine's called Miracle Balance, and it's a little hologram. And I have one on my laptop and one on my cell phone. And they've actually taken pictures of a person's face and brain with the cell phone up to their face. And then they put the little hologram thing in there, and then they take a picture, and it shows less red, less inflammation, that it actually does offset some of that negative frequencies. So yeah, you can get some of those things. I mean, I'm sure there's things out there that are total scams. I don't know. But the one, I've read a lot of research studies showing that there are things that can help offset that. So why not? I mean, 20, 30 bucks, and if it maybe can help, I think it's a worthwhile investment. So yeah. And that, it's hard to know. Yeah, a lot of it is just simply drinking too much close to bed. I mean, I would stop drinking liquids by 7 p.m. if that's an issue for you. But, a lot of people are cleansing and healing at night. And one of the ways the body does that is through urination. So if you have, I know people that have systemic candida fungal yeast issues that are frequently urinating a lot because the body's trying to cleanse and detox at night. Just kidney issues. If you have issues with your kidneys, and again, your body's trying to heal and cleanse at night, you might want to do something to strengthen and heal your kidneys. So you might have lower back pain. If you have frequent urination during the day, dehydration, things that can cause kidney problems can cause frequent urination at night too. Infections can cause frequent urination at night. So it's figuring out what it is. But I would start with less fluid intake after 7 o'clock and just see, even if you can just cut it down to once or twice. Now, here's what I tell people. If you're getting up at night to go to the bathroom, if you get up, go to the restroom, go back to bed, and immediately fall back asleep, it's not that big of a deal. You're not really missing out on sleep. If you get up to go to the bathroom and you lay back in bed and you're awake for an hour or 2 hours, that's a big problem. But if you immediately get back to sleep, it's really not going to affect your sleep that negatively. Don't turn the light on. Yep. Have the night light as dim as possible. As dim as possible so that you can still see. Yes. Cool. So she said you can get battery-operated closet lights that come on and then okay. So they turn on and off with your movement. So if you want to get something like that. Okay, cool. Anything else? Any other questions? One back there? Yes. I was hoping somebody would not ask that question because I don't know if I have a good answer for it. But he's right. I mean, there's people that live different parts closer to the equator where it's light for 6 months and then dark for 6 months. Or it's dark from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then it's light, and I honestly don't have a good answer for that. I can say that connect to the earth, do these things, right nutrition, good minerals, connect to the earth. They just going to have to adjust to that. Now, I would like to think that since God designed the earth that way, people who live up in that region, if they can sleep in tune with still the night and day cycle, that should still work. But I'm sure business isn't run the opposite way out there. I'm sure people don't have their businesses open from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and sleep during the, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Probably not. They probably try to function the same way everyone else does, right? I mean, as far as the timing. Right, so that makes it challenging. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but I'll have to look into that. I love it when I get a challenging question I don't know the answer to. So I will definitely have to look into that for you. Yes. Okay, so she said she lived in Alaska, and what they did is they slept a lot more during the wintertime, and they were just up a lot more during the daytime, like I mentioned. So when it's day a lot, you get the sunshine, you're outdoors, you're invigorated by that, you're going to be up more. Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, I'll do maybe one more. Yes. Okay, she was asking about the overactive nervous system, if minerals would be best for that. Magnesium specifically, yes. So all of your minerals are very important for the nervous system. But what's also important about the nervous system are other things. The healthy fats, critical for the nervous system. So your coconut oils, your seed oils, your olive oil, your avocados, your fish oils, your healthy fats, critical for the nervous system. B vitamins, critical for the nervous system. And the other things that really help are those herbs, the hops, the valerian, the wild lettuce, because those are nervine herbs that calm and relax the nervous system. But I always start with the foundation, which would be the minerals and the good fats. She also asked if coral calcium is good. In my opinion, I am not a fan of calcium carbonates. Rock-based, it's a little bit different because it's from coral, but it's still, in my opinion, very hard for the body to digest coral calcium. I think it's much better to get calcium from natural plant sources. The highest sources are from your algae. So like chlorella and spirulina and your green algae. Nature naturally forms a calcium shell over these algae, so they're very high in absorbable calcium. And the algae also contain high amounts of magnesium, which you have to have lots of magnesium to absorb calcium properly. So I like the whole food sources of calcium better than more of the rock, coral-based forms, in my opinion. Okay, so thanks, guys. Next week is on pain. So hopefully you're here for that, and bring some friends. Okay, guys, bless you. Love you.